I am really pleased to be here and sharing the results from the evaluation of SipSmart publicly for the first time. This evaluation was an evaluator stream. We were involved early in the program design and able to work closely with the implementation team. This allowed us to design a rigorous evaluation that was efficiently integrated into the program. We also benefited from an external expert advisory panel that provided valuable guidance for the evaluation, design, analysis, and results. This segment of the chat is focused on the evaluation of SipSmart. Tom's already provided us with details about the program. I'm going to be a bit repetitious and remind you a few things about the program in order to give context to the evaluation. We will go over the typical evaluation items, the research questions, methodology, and findings. We will conclude with some lessons learned from this evaluation. Very quickly again, the project goals for SipSmart are to develop and implement a short learning module that informs students about the health risks associated with the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages and about alternative healthy beverage choices. Very importantly, it also aimed to design a module that is attractive to teachers and easily implemented within the classroom. And of course, the ultimate goal is to reduce sugary drinks consumption and achieve healthy weights. Recall the project delivered the program to over 230 classes of students in grades 4 to 6 during the 2008-09 school year. There were roughly 3 lessons, roughly 1 hour each, delivered by external facilitators over a 6 to 8 week period. Parents were also connected with the program. Students were given a colorful information booklet, fridge magnets, which unfortunately didn't work on stainless steel fridges, and a one-page card with information to take home for the parents after lesson 2. Schools were actively recruited using a variety of ways: mass mailouts to schools and school districts, through networks with health authorities, provincial community nutritionist networks, and other existing networks to help spread the word about the program to schools and teachers. Within this general recruitment effort, the project school liaisons also recruited and signed up schools to take part in the evaluation. The evaluation was designed to answer 4 main research questions that were aligned with the program. Will SipSmart change students' consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages? Does SipSmart help students choose healthier drink options? Does SipSmart change students' knowledge of awareness of healthy drinks? Was SipSmart implemented as intended? The evaluation consisted of 2 key components. The implementation research provided a detailed description of the program and compared how closely it matched with the intended model. The implementation research also provided the context for the results from the second component, the outcomes study. For the outcomes study, we used a cluster study designed to learn about the difference SipSmart made. The evaluation focused on grade 4 students, the main reason being the evaluation budget and the sample size it can support. The evaluation chose to focus only on 1 grade to make the study more rigorous. With help from the project team, 20 schools were recruited and volunteered for the evaluation. 18 schools were from the Metro Vancouver area, 1 on Vancouver Island, and 1 in interior BC. At each school, there were 2 classes of grade 4 students involved in the evaluation. 1 class in each school took part in the program. Students in these classes are in the program group. The other class in the school did not receive the program, and they formed the comparison group. and they helped determine what difference SipSmart made with respect to students' knowledge of healthy and unhealthy drinks and consumption of sugary drinks. Data was collected from multiple sources. The main data for the outcome study came from a drinks diary and a pictorial questionnaire administered by the facilitators. The evaluators trained the facilitators about the instrument and tools to facilitate the data collection. There were 3 data collection periods as delineated in the timeline on this slide, which unfortunately is a bit small. One survey was done at the start of Lesson 1. This collected information about students before they were exposed to any of the SipSmart program. Another survey was done mid-program after 2 full lessons and at the beginning of Lesson 3. And then a follow-up survey was done 6 months after the program ended. These instruments were administered to students in both the program and comparison classrooms. We also conducted depth interviews with the project team, a parent survey, classroom observations, a school environment survey, and reviewed program documentations. In total, there were 1,013 students who completed the baseline. 520 students were in the program group, and 493 students were in the comparison group. Now, looking at the implementation findings, teachers told facilitators they really liked the program and gave it 2 thumbs up. They thought SipSmart had a great message and provided much needed information to students. They highlighted 2 favorite activities. They liked the sugar guessing game, which involved counting the number of sugar cubes in familiar drinks. For example, the facilitator counted 24 sugar cubes into 1 liter cup of Slurpee. The teachers also flagged the tooth experiment as a very exciting activity that fit well with the science lessons. Teeth were soaked in different drinks such as Coke, 100% apple juice, orange pop, and water to see their effects on dental health. The orange pop results were pretty scary, and actually no real teeth was used. They used bones. So generally, the program remained true to the original implementation plan. What was helpful for the implementation? The interactive nature of the program made the lessons fun and engaging for the students. The teachers were attracted to SipSmart not only because they thought it was a good program and believed in the message from the program, but also because it was free and provided 3 lessons that were connected to the curriculum. The facilitators were well trained and organized and very engaging, and they delivered the program very well. There were also a few things that made the implementation difficult. The literacy levels varied among students. The majority of the evaluation schools were in Metro Vancouver and involved schools with diverse student population. To reach its intended audience, the parent information booklet was translated in Punjabi and Chinese. It needed to be translated in more language in order to reach more parents. The program was delivered once by external facilitators in the 2008-09 school year with no additional follow-up or booster lessons in the subsequent grades. It is what recognized that learning outcomes need to be reinforced over time in order for students to retain new knowledge. So now turning to the data for the outcome study, what did we learn at baseline? Well, we saw and observed that students get a lot of sugar from the drinks alone. The top 3 beverages consumed in the previous day were water, milk, and juice. About 3 in 10 students consumed beverages with sugar, with juice being a major component of beverages of sugar. This contributed to almost half although pop was significant proportion as well, but less than juice. Most students had some idea about healthy drink choices. Students were asked whether they thought a drink was healthy from a list of beverages. Almost all knew water and milk are healthy choices, and pop and Slurpees are not. A sizable portion of students thought sports drinks, tea, coffee, and fruity drinks are also healthy choices. What happened after 2 lessons? Well, after only 2 lessons, more students in the program group were aware that pop, fruity drinks, and Slurpees are unhealthy choices. There was also a decrease in the proportion of students in the program group compared to the comparison group who favored unhealthy drinks such as pop, fruity drinks, and Slurpees, and sports drinks. This suggests that SipSmart may have successfully delivered the message about sugary drinks and influenced students' preferences. The preference for 100% juice remains high among students in the program group and similar to students in the comparison group. About 84.2% for those in the program group and 86.4% for those in the comparison group. This was not a significant difference though. There was a small but significant reduction in the consumption of pop. On average, students in the program group drank 77 milliliters less pop than students in the comparison group. There were no substantial outcomes or changes on other types of sugary drinks. We also looked at the distribution of sugar intake from daily beverages. SipSmart reduced the proportion of students who were consuming large amounts of sugar from beverages. The next 2 slides will illustrate This chart illustrates the change in students' knowledge of sugary drinks. If you look to your far right, to the 4th category, sports drinks, the purple bars are for the program group and the orange bars are for the comparison group. So looking at those what they knew about sugar in drinks and specifically about Slurpees, we see that 91% of the program group students identify sports drinks as containing a lot of sugar, compared to 79% for those in the comparison group. This is a significant difference of 12 percentage points. This next chart shows the distribution of sugar intake and the impact of the program on students who have a high consumption of sugar from their daily beverages. If you look at the far right column again, for those who were consuming 25 or more sugar cubes from their daily beverages, it shows that 22.7% of students in the program group consume 25 or more cubes of sugar a day from beverages, while the equivalent number for students in the comparison group was 30.5%. This represents a reduction of 7.8 percentage points in students who were consuming 25 or more cubes of sugar from beverages. It would suggest that the program worked well for students who were consuming a large amount of sugar from their beverage intake. We went back 6 months after the program ended to do a follow-up data collection. And the results there, many of the effects observed in the earlier period were either smaller and or became insignificant 6 months later. The observed reductions in preferences for sugary drinks disappeared in the follow-up survey with one exception. There was still a significant reduction of 10 percentage points in preference for fruity drinks. There was no difference in the volume of pop consumed, and there was no difference in sugar intake from beverages between students in a program and comparison groups. The impact of SipSmart on students' awareness and knowledge of sugary drinks and healthy beverage choices may be the most significant result from SipSmart. The evidence suggests that students in a program group retained some, but not all, of their knowledge about healthy beverages observed in the earlier survey. The program impact on students' awareness continued 6 months after the program ended. This chart illustrates one of the observed outcomes. The chart on the right-hand side shows the results in knowledge about sugar in drinks 6 months later. The chart on the left is the one that was shown earlier after 2 lessons. It's a bit hard to tell from these charts from scale, but the effects at 6 months were smaller than the outcomes observed at mid-program, but they were still significant. And therefore there's some regression in the follow-up period, but they were still significant 6 months after the program. The last 2 slides summarize some of the lessons learned. There is evidence from the evaluation to suggest that SipSmart influenced students' awareness and knowledge of healthy drink options. Despite the fact that the program was short, it did result in some immediate outcomes after only 2 hours of instruction. Most of these outcomes, however, did not persist 6 months after the program. SipSmart's impact on students who were consuming a large amount of sugar from their beverage intake was notable, even though the change was not sustained in the longer term. It is likely the program was too short to maintain the observed outcomes. It was, after all, 3 one-hour lessons delivered over a 6 to 8 week period. If long-term outcomes are desired, the program may need to be longer or reinforced in later grades or both. For example, it could develop annual booster sessions in higher grades or to start the program earlier in earlier grades. To conclude, the results from this evaluation are promising in that even a short-term intervention delivered in the school can result in changes in awareness and knowledge about the risk of sugar-sweetened beverages